early last week, and then also some feedback on the midterm exam, which closed late last week. I believe it was Friday of last week. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about midterm grades coming up at the end of the week. And then also I'm going to go over what we're going to be looking at for chapters 13 and 14 activities, which are due early next week. Okay? So the first thing is, like I said, I did finish grading the chapters 10 and 12 activities early last week. I believe they were due Tuesday of last week. So I would have finished grading those Wednesday. So you've had plenty of chances to go in and look at your grades for those activities and read the grading comments. If you haven't done that yet, please go ahead and do that today and let me know if you have any questions at all. Most of you did pretty well on the chapters 10 through 12 activities. And like I always tell you, I really appreciate those of you that are putting the time and effort into the class. Now, with that being said, I do notice, or I have noticed here the last few weeks, that there are a few of you who are relying way too much on AI tools to do your work for this class. So I'm going to be really looking at that closely in the next, for the remainder of the semester. So just make sure that you're actually doing your own work. And the best way to make sure you're doing your own work is to start on the activities early enough where you're not tempted to take shortcuts when you run out of time. Okay? I think that's what a lot of it is there are a few of you that are waiting too late to actually watch all the videos that I posted for the assignment and read the assigned sections in the textbook to do your assignments, and you're basically just having AI do your work for you. So just make sure that that you're using AI in an ethical way, not to do your work for you, but to help you learn the concepts. And I think most of you are okay there. Most of you are doing your own work, but there are a few of you who really need to make sure that you're doing your own work. Okay? All right. Just let me know if you have any questions about that. When I was grading the chapters 10 through 12 assignments, when I was doing the grading comments, I tried to be very specific on what I was counting points off for, if I did have to count points off. And, most cases I gave you what the correct answer should have been, what you should have included as the correct answer there. But if you do have questions after reading the grading comments, just let me know. On the midterm exam, that closed again Friday of last week. So hopefully you've already gone in and looked at of course you get your grade right after you click submit anyway on that. But I didn't put any grading comments in on the midterm exam, but just go in and look at that exam. Just let me know if you have any questions. I will be opening up that midterm exam for review purposes shortly, probably later today. So that way you can use that in addition to your chapter test reviews to study for the final exam. But other than that, like I said, most of you did well in the midterm exam. So I really appreciate the time and effort you're putting in. So keep up the good work on that. Like I said, just let me know if you have any questions about that. All right, midterm grades are due later this week. I believe they're due Friday. Now, since in this class we've already taken our midterm exam, I'll probably go ahead and enter your midterm grades for this class probably either later today or tomorrow morning. Okay, because there's not any sense in waiting till later this week because we've already taken our midterm exam. So we've already got all of our grades up to the midway point of the semester anyway. So, like I said, I'll probably be posting that either later today or tomorrow. As soon as you see your midterm grade, if you have questions, let me know. Okay? It shouldn't be a surprise because it'll be whatever letter grade corresponds to whatever percentage grade you currently have in the class. So it shouldn't be a surprise, but if it is for some reason, just let me know. Just send me a course mail, and I'll be glad to get back with you on that. Okay? All right. The last thing I need to remind you of is the next set of activities that we have coming up due. So chapters 13 and 14, we go to the activities page. Chapters 13 and 14 activities are due next week, early next week, specifically Monday, March 16th. So you've got just a little under a week to be working on those activities and get those submitted. Please get started as soon as you can on those activities. Don't wait until Monday to get started because you're not going to have time to look through all the resources. And you've got to look through the resources. You don't rely too much on AI to do your work. Make sure you're actually using the resources. And I think most of you are. But again, there are some of you that need to get started earlier on the activities so that you give yourself enough time to actually read through and watch the resources. Okay. Now, chapter 13, let me tell you a little bit about chapters 13 and 14. Chapter 13 covers fiscal policy. And if you remember, we talked about fiscal versus monetary policy earlier in the semester. Fiscal policy has to do with the spending and taxation that the government does in order to basically promote its economic goals, the macroeconomic goals, which we learned earlier this semester are full employment, price stability, and economic growth. Okay, so the fiscal policy items that we'll be looking at in chapter 13 will be, again, government intervention in the market through purchasing, taxation, and transfer payments to promote those three macroeconomic goals that we've learned earlier this semester. Okay, so that's chapter 13. Then chapter 14 deals with federal budgets and public policy. Okay, which are things that you hear, especially the federal budget. You hear about that in the news a lot, especially lately. And so you're going to learn about the process that the federal government goes through in developing a budget and getting it approved. You'll also learn about something that's also in the news a lot, which is budget deficits. And then finally, you'll also learn about the national debt, which is also a key topic that you hear on the economic part of the news a lot. Okay, so that's chapters 13 and 14. So be working on those activities. Even though they're not due till next week, you should still be working on them this week so that you can make sure that you have plenty of time to get them completed without having to rely on AI so much. Okay? All right. So be working on that. Like I said, let me know if you have questions. That's all I have for you for today. So enjoy the rest of this week and the weekend, and I will talk to you again sometime next week. Thank you.